Hello, my name is Jorge Hurtado. Give me 1 second here. I want to share my screen. So, quick second. Okay, so let me see. So this workshop is for really anyone, for high school students, community college students, anyone who's interested in transferring to a four-year university. And I'm just going to start a little bit with my background, just give you a little bit of a understanding of where I come from. So I was born and raised in Michoacan until the age of 13. I grew up in Michoacan with my grandparents, and I went to school there. I went to elementary and part of middle school. Once I turned 13, I came to Santa Rosa, California in 2007. I came to live with my older siblings, and I am, a DACA. I am a DACA student. I am documented. In 2012 when President Obama came up with it, sign up for it. Also, just have to let you know that I am also the first generation in my family to go to university to get a degree from a four-year university. So that's just a little bit of my background, so that you know. Okay, so high school. I came in actually in middle school. I went to middle school in Santa Rosa. I spoke not a single word of English, so it was definitely difficult. Yeah, the transition coming from Mexico to here, and okay. So once I finished middle school, I went to Pioneer High School. I went there for my freshman and sophomore years, and the difficulty of those 2 years in middle school did not diminish. It was also just, if not more difficult, those first 2 years at Pioneer, because obviously the language barrier, and there were so many things going on right back in the day. A lot of like gangs and stuff like that. That basically, because I look Mexican, I suppose. I was always confused and thought that I, targeted by just people who thought I was in a gang, even though I was not. And yeah, so it was definitely really difficult in the first and second year at Pioneer. For my third year, I actually transferred to Santa Rosa High School. We moved home, so I was able to go to this other high school. And it was a little bit easier, I suppose. It was a little bit easier in the sense that, there were like the counselors were a little bit more like willing to put more effort in you to tell you a little bit, more things that can help you, to guide you a little bit better, I would say, than at Pioneer. It's still was difficult in the sense that it was difficult to relate to other people, to really build like connections, because not that many people spoke, were like first language Spanish speakers like I was. And I don't know, it was just a different time where I think a lot of people didn't really want to speak Spanish as much. So I had a difficult time just making friends, and but eventually I was able to find my own little group, and I had some really good professors there at Santa Rosa High School. And it still wasn't easy by any means. My first and second year at Pioneer, I really, really messed up, especially my first year, because I was skipping class. I just wasn't motivated. Just wasn't motivated at all. I would cut class, just not pay attention. I think that there was really nothing like behind me kind of pushing me to do this. It was just kind of like you figure it out on your own. Like I said, I really didn't feel the support from like counselors or really a lot of professors. I was in ESL classes, so I feel like they don't really put a lot of resources and effort into ESL students. And so for my third and fourth year, it was really difficult trying to come back. I had to go to night school. What was the other class? I had to do a bunch of extra work outside of class to be able to just, catch up with the credits. And, I was barely able to graduate from Santa Rosa High School with just enough the credits, which I believe was 220. And my GPA was really, really bad too. I graduated with a 2.4. And I'm bringing this up so that you can, hopefully see that. I mean, of course, we always want to do as best as we can in high school, but I just want you to know that if you don't do too well in high school, that's not the end, not by any means. And so that's where my next part of the workshop goes, to Santa Rosa Junior College. So yeah, I graduated from Santa Rosa High School at the age of 18, and then I eventually went to Santa Rosa Junior College. And it was difficult because I still, even though I had improved with English and with other aspects of being a student at Santa Rosa High School, it's still I still didn't know how to navigate the education system, especially in college, right? I remember I took 20 units, and I was never told not to do that because yeah, I don't even know. A friend helped me sign up to the JC. I had no idea of even how to do it, but I ended up signing up for 20 units. At the end of the semester, of course, I didn't, I had to drop all of them. So I ended up getting W's in all of the classes. And yeah, it was really difficult. And motivation wise, I felt like, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm not meant to be in school. I just don't know how to even go about this. Even though as a young kid, I really liked school, and I was good at it. So yeah, it took making a few mistakes in the first first couple of semesters, but eventually I was able to find people who were able to guide me. One of them, of course, Rafael Vasquez. I actually met him in high school, and yeah, he's a really great guy. Initially, we bumped heads a little bit, but when I went to Santa Rosa Junior College, I saw him there, and he was familiar to me, right? I believe I made an appointment to see him, and he was actually really, really supportive. He helped me out with applying for the BOC fee waiver back in the day. Just helped me cover tuition for my classes, and kind of guide me a little bit on how many units to take, and scheduling an appointment with another counselor. So yeah, he really made a huge difference in my education. I would say that I probably wouldn't be where I am at if it wasn't for his guidance and for the guidance of other professors at Santa Rosa Junior College. Yeah, it took, as you can see here, it took about 4 to 5 years for me to be able to graduate and transfer from Santa Rosa Junior College, because at the age of 18, I moved out of my house, and I had to start working. So I had to support myself while going to school, and so it was really difficult balancing, right? Paying, supporting myself while taking classes. So for probably 3 years, I was doing that, right? I was working full time, going to the JC part time. And eventually, I was able to save up enough money. I was able to, learn how to manage my time and use my finances. And I was able to start working part-time, and then now taking classes full-time. And that's when I was really able to make a lot of progress. Yeah. And yeah, so that's saying what happened at Santa Rosa Junior College. As you can see here, yeah, due to the fact that I am a documented student, there wasn't that much financial aid. Yes, I thankfully I was able to get my classes covered, which is a huge help. But in the terms of actually getting money for like rent or things like that, no, that was not the case, because not being able to get FAFSA, there wasn't as much help back then. Yeah, eventually I was able to graduate with the 4.0, and I transferred to I applied to all to 4 different UCs. And yeah, Davis for me was my first choice. That's where I really wanted to go, and thankfully I was able to get in there, and that's where I eventually went. So, but before that, I'm just gonna briefly cover the transfer process of kind of how it works. And this may not be extremely accurate, so I do suggest that you go to your academic counselor at your community college or high school or wherever you're at, because yeah, you definitely want to get the most accurate information. This is just how it was for me. So I believe if you want to transfer to a UC, you have to take classes from from 1 to 49, and if you want to go to CSU, is from 0 to 99. I believe that's might still be the case. Yeah, but you do need 60 units to transfer. And there's also this thing called a tag, right, which you can apply to get like basically like early admission into a university that you really want to go to. And that works for most UCs, but I believe not for all of them. One thing that I definitely would highly advise would be to visit schools, right? Visit the schools that you want to go to before, excuse me, before making the decision to actually, attend there. There are many field trips. I know right now with COVID, that's not the case right now. But hopefully once that becomes available, you're able to take advantage of that, because it is really extremely important for you to be able to visit the school, see what it's like, the feeling, see what where you're going to be living, the area, all that stuff is extremely important. I initially wanted to go to UC Santa Cruz, and after visiting, it's a beautiful school. Don't get me wrong, beautiful school. But after visiting it and seeing how the rent was and all these things, I still applied to it and I got into it, but I was like, that's not going to be my first choice, because it wasn't really what I was looking for in terms of housing. Yes, so definitely visit the school, start your application early, don't wait. Obviously, don't wait last minute. Schedule appointments with the counselor every semester if you can, so that you can, check your progress, see if everything is in line, because you don't want any surprises last minute. Definitely stay on top of your requirements, all these things. Okay, it's really, really important. Definitely, I can't emphasize that enough. Okay, financial aid. So let's talk a little bit about that as well. So like I mentioned, at SRJC, I was able to get the BOC fee waiver, which cover cover all my tuition, which was amazing. I was able to get a few private scholarships, which was great too, because as I mentioned, I was working and going to school at the same time. So it was definitely, a little difficult balancing all that. But yeah, mainly relied on my work to be able to support myself. Once I arrived before I arrived at UC Davis, I looked at the amount of financial aid that I would be getting right from universities. That's also one thing that you want to look at. How much are they offering you? Like what resources are they offering you in general? And UC Davis offered for me the best package. That's and it's basically they give you this thing called the Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan. Well, the Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan is it's for people that make under, I believe, $80,000 a year. But basically, yes, it really depends. Actually, it depends on your income, your parents' income, to see how much they give you. So for me, it covered tuition. It paid for my health insurance, because you have to have health insurance when you attend for your university. And there was actually money left over for me to be able to pay most of my rent. So in that sense, I did receive a lot more from UC Davis. I received about like $25,000 every year. And obviously not all of that was left over, right? I think tuition was like $17,000. So yeah, and then there, health insurance, but I was left over with a pretty decent amount of money to be able to cover most of my rent. I also saved up, right? I try to save up as much as I could before transferring to Davis. I would highly suggest that if you're able to, right, start putting away a little bit of money wherever you can. because that money will help you out a lot. If you don't have to take out loans while you're at a four-year university, don't. I took zero loans from UC Davis, and they offered me plenty, but I knew, it would have been easy to just get the loan, but I knew that I was going to have to pay it back later on, and it would have to been with interest. So definitely, yeah, if you're able to not get a loan and save money however you can before transferring, I would highly suggest that. Yeah, and in addition, for any of you who might be undocumented or for who might be DACA students, at specifically at UC Davis, we have the AB 540 and Undocumented Student Center, which is amazing because they have a lot of resources for undocumented and for DACA students, specifically in terms of scholarships. They have the I believe the Dragonfly Scholarship and the Docu Scholar, which each of them is $1,000. And as long as you're in good terms with the university, like you're not on probation or anything like that, you're taking 12 units, and you will pretty much qualify to get that money, and you don't have to pay it back. I got those scholarships almost every year, so it was extra money on top of the money that I was getting from my from the Blue and Gold opportunity plan from Davis. So I was super lucky enough to go to Davis and have that much support. And there are many other centers just like the AB 540. There is the LGBTQ, the Native American Center. There are a lot of different centers within UC Davis that are super helpful. And not all of them offer, I believe, grants and stuff like that, but they offer all their resources that are extremely useful, like a study space, printing. Like there's a lot. Hopefully in the future, once we're able to go back to in-person classes, you're able to have access to a lot of these things. Okay. So really just briefly going over my first year at UC Davis, it was difficult, right? I did really well at Santa Rosa Junior College. I graduated with the 4.0. So, but before transferring, I had an internship in 2017 at Stanford. It was, and I'll show you guys a link a little bit later so you can see that. But yeah, before transferring, I went to this super amazing internship at Stanford where I stayed there for 6 weeks with other students from other community colleges. And it was basically for students who wanted to go into medicine, not just into medicine, actually, to healthcare in general. Super amazing program. I'll show you guys. Well, right. And at this place, and I went to a bunch of different events before actually transferring, before starting at Davis. And the main theme that I received from a lot of people was like, take it easy your first quarter, right? Right, because UC Davis isn't a quarter system. So that's also one thing to take into account. Look at what kind of system your university or the university that you want to go to has, right? I think Berkeley has semester system, but excuse me, but definitely UC Davis has a quarter system. So it was difficult because, I went from the semester system from SRJC to the quarter system of UC Davis. And people weren't kidding when they meant to take it easy because it's extremely fast paced. The quarter, rather than 15 or 16 weeks, it has 10 weeks. So you have no time to relax. Like once the quarter starts, you have to be on top of your stuff. It's really difficult to catch up, and if you fall behind. There were obviously new professors, it was a new place, new people, so that was also difficult. And so one thing that I do have to mention, right, is that I was a pre-med student, and at Santa Rosa Junior College, I didn't take most of my pre-med recs. I took like intro to bio, statistics, just basic classes. Once I transferred to UC Davis, I had to take general chemistry, right? The series, so general chemistry 2A, 2B, 2C, biology 2A, 2B, 2C, physics, organic chemistry, biochemistry, all these classes, right, that I had to take. And for example, for my general chemistry classes, I was placed in a lecture hall with 500 other students. So it was a huge class, and that's also something to take into consideration if you're um, um, wanting to go to university like that. Yeah, so it was difficult, but I survived my first year. I was able to make connections and stay on top of my courses. Um, I didn't have a lot of time. I would go to school early in the morning, around like 8 in the morning, and I would probably stay on campus until like 10 p.m. So I was there the whole day. I took a few snacks. I purchased sometimes I took lunch. Sometimes when I wasn't able to, I purchased lunch at school. But staying on campus for me was vital because um, for me, I know that if I come home, it's really difficult for me to be able to focus and study and get my work done. So in the beginning, it was hard being able to stay on campus for that long, but eventually it just became a routine. It became a habit, and I can say that that was a big part of the reason why I was able to be successful at Davis, because I was on campus all day, going to classes, not skipping a single one. Doing my homework right after class, not procrastinating, not being like, okay, I'll just do it later. No, like I took advantage of my time as much as possible. And that also helped me stay motivated, right? Because you see like the live on campus, you see everybody, it's like grinding and studying, and that helped motivate me. I would suggest that like to seek help, like to look for what resources are available at your university. Um, I did find this to be different from community college, because at community college most of the resources were located in one place, but I found that this was not like the same case at UC Davis. There were resources spread all over, so you just had to get to know the campus, ask questions, don't be shy, or you know yeah yeah, don't be shy. Like those resources are there for you, so take advantage of them as much as you can. Okay. And yeah, I do believe that school has to become your top priority, if you really want to be successful. But also at the same time, right? You have to like take care of yourself. You have to practice self-care, whatever that may look, however that may look for you. For me, that was, I went to therapy whenever the quarter system got too rough. Whenever finals were coming over, I also found like a little soccer team that I joined. I try to play the guitar. So whatever that looks for you, right? Try to find something to take care of yourself, because your mental health is extremely important, in to be able to stay on top of your studies. Okay, so yes, so basically I graduated with the Bachelor's of Science in Psychobiology this last summer 2020, and like I mentioned, the first one in my family to be able to do that. This psychobiology major was super amazing, because it combined all my science coursework that I needed for medical school with some really interesting like psych classes that I wanted to take, like abnormal psychology, where they go over all that, like mental disorders. Yeah, I really like this major, and there are many different majors at Davis. You don't have to obviously take this one, but there are a lot of them that are super super cool. So you should look into that, if to whatever school you're going to, look into what majors they're offering. Yeah, and so also while I used to Davis, I just wanted to mention this, that I tutor for chemistry and biology. I was also a volunteer at Clinica Tepati, which was honestly the highlight of my experience at UC Davis. Clinica Tepati basically is a student-run clinic. So yeah, it's run by undergraduate students from UC Davis. So to be in it, you do have to be an undergraduate student at Davis. And there are a few clinics like it. I think there are like 8 or 9. But Clinica Tepati is specifically the one that I wanted to be in, because Clinica Tepati helps serve mostly the undocumented population, Latinx population in the Sacramento area. It serves everyone really, but a big portion of our patients were undocumented Latinx people. So obviously I felt, you know, I identified with them. And it was the most gratifying and really eye-opening experience for me, because um, I was able to see, I was able to put put my part into be able to do something for my community, for people who really need the help. I Every time I went, it was a long day. We would get there at 7 in the morning, leave at 5 p.m. But every time I came back from home, I felt such a you know big feeling of satisfaction, because I was helping people, like, you know um, could look like my grandma, my grandpa, my aunts, my just my family, like, um, and I was also lucky enough to be able to work alongside a lot of other people who are extremely, like, genuine, and who really want to make a difference, who really want to help people. And so to me, that was the best experience at UC Davis. I was also part of the undergraduate advisory board for the Dean of College of Letters and Science. So that was really cool too, because we got to, speak to one of the deans of the colleges, and advocate for um, for resources, for what things need change within the university. So that's really cool too, right? Because we always want to be improving things for the next generation. Like I mentioned, well, actually, I didn't mention this, but at the end of my time at UC Davis, I was able to graduate with a 3.6 GPA, and which was difficult. It was definitely difficult, and I do believe the rigor of the classes was higher. It was greater than the rigor for the classes at community college. They're not impossible. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, they are going to be hard, but they're not impossible. And it also depends on your major, right? Yeah, definitely depends on your major. But if you're like a STEM major, if you're a science major, the classes are going to be difficult. Just know that they're not impossible. You can definitely do it. If I could do it, I'm sure you can. Okay, so now, what am I doing now? That's a good question. So it's been a crazy year with the pandemic. I think it's been, yeah, extremely difficult on a lot of us. But I've been working on the MCAT. That's been my priority, because I plan to apply this 2021 cycle to medical school. So yeah, I'm working on the MCAT. I have a date set in June. It's the difficult exam, right? It takes a long time to study for it, but that's what I'm doing. I'm taking this exam this summer, and I'm applying to medical school this summer, so that I can start medical school summer 2022. I'm also right now working as a health educator at a clinic in Sacramento. Basically, I help patients who have chronic conditions like diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, COPD. So yeah, I mainly help educate them on what the condition is, first of all, and then go over nutrition, exercise, all these things, while taking into account all the different barriers that these communities have to face in order to be able to manage their condition. So I love my work. Again, I work with a lot of Spanish speaking patients, and they're extremely sweet, extremely loving, and yeah, I love my job. I also applied to an MPH. It's a master's in public health. It's basically it's a 1-year accelerated master's program that basically starts this August 2021. I I got into it, so I'm really happy about that. And yeah, so I should be this my second gap year for medical, before medical school. I'm going to be using it to get that master's in public health, which I hope that is able to make me a more well-rounded doctor in the future, because that's where I want to go. Right, I want to be able to go back again to helping the um, underserved communities, like our Latinx, or just people of color, who really need the attention from people who can relate to them, from people who are really compassionate and have empathy. Yeah, so that's it. Those are my plans. Here are some resources that I put for you to be able to access some scholarships, like the 10,000 degrees. Oops. Okay. Yeah, the 10,000 degree scholarship, by the way, yeah, I got that almost every year. So if you're able to apply for it, go for it. The Jack Kent Cook scholarship, which is a huge scholarship that if you get, I believe you get like $60,000 a year, something like that. It's crazy. The Hispanic Scholarship Fund, apply that if you can too. I was able to, get, I was able to become a scholar from the Hispanic Scholarship Fund. So that's also a great resource. And there are many others like it. The the Stanford Summer Community College Pre-Medical Program that I mentioned here. I'm gonna click on it, see if it takes me there. Let me see. Okay, yep, and that's me in the back. But definitely, this is such an amazing opportunity. If you don't have to be, you don't have to go into medicine to be able to have access to this. But if you like, if you're interested in just in healthcare, in anything in healthcare, this is such an amazing opportunity. So I would highly suggest that you apply to that. And then Clinica Tepati, like I mentioned, another great resource. If you do end up deciding to go to Davis and volunteer there, that's an amazing opportunity. Clinica Tepati. And also, right, if you know people that need access to healthcare, it's free. Like they don't charge you. We have medical students from the UC Davis Medical School. We have physicians from UC Davis, from a lot of other places. So yeah, that's also another great resource. And 1 second. Okay, and lastly, this is my contact information. This is my email, jrhurtadolopez@ucdavis.edu. In case you have any questions or you just wanna, want some guidance, you just, wanna say hi. If anything that I can help, along the way. There were a lot of people helping me along the way, and so if I can pay that back, I'm more than happy to. Right? If we need it, we need to help each other. We're a community. And if we want change, if we want or the current systems to change, we need to help each other out. We need to build a chain. So yeah, this is my contact information. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.